Hello and welcome back to Data. Last time I showed you guys this particular graph on TikTok and I kind of briefly explained these blue dots here are what I've collected. So basically I was monitoring the total number of likes over time. And so this is basically the rate at which I was gaining likes. So the higher it is, the more likes I was getting at that given time. This orange line here is part of the numbers that are provided from TikTok about your follower activity. And so I put them on top of each other, and as you can see, they're not lining up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the data. Over here I have the dates from TikTok, and I'm going to change this AM here to a PM. And so I'm going to adjust everything by 12 hours. And I'm going to, oops, did not mean to do that. Go back to this graph. And yeah. And it did not update. There we go. Now it's updated. And as you can see, that's lined up far better. It's not perfect, but just adjusting it that 12 hours, you can see it's a lot more similar to the data that I was collected. At this point here, the highest points do line up. So yeah, so for whatever reason, the numbers from them are off by about 12 hours. I was also monitoring data from 4 other creators. I have YouthPastorRyan, Iron Sanctuary, Ashley by the Sea, and Carolyn Dutton. And as I said in one of my TikToks, I don't want to share the specifics of their data without their consent. Well, I was collecting the data without their consent. I don't want to share that without them knowing. And both YouthPastorRyan and Iron Sanctuary have reached out to me and asked about the data. YouthPastorRyan did give me explicit permission to share this data. I haven't heard back from Iron Sanctuary on that front, so I'm going to be focusing on YouthPastorRyan's. But on that note, I will say there is some really interesting data from Ashley by the Sea and Carolyn about basically, because they're smaller creators, there is a noticeable, and they posted fewer videos while I was collecting this data. So there's some really interesting information to be gained about the algorithm and how posting videos affects the number of likes and how long you're getting the increased number of likes. So I would love to share that data and talk about it more in depth. But at this point in time, I don't have their permission, so I don't really want to do that. So next, let's look at YouthPastorRyan. So here's YouthPastorRyan's data. I'm gonna move myself over here, get me out of the way. And this graph, yeah, it's pretty similar to what the blue line here is basically the same thing I was showing you before. These blue dots are the likes, the number of likes that he got in any given minute, actually. The gray dots down here, that's the number of followers he gained at any particular point. And these orange lines here are denoting when he posted videos. And these little orange dots over here are when he deleted videos. And those really don't matter for this point. I'm really not going to focus on those. But when he posted videos is very interesting. Like down here, we have his 2 most recent videos. Now this one here is the duet he did with the little girl, and this one right here is when he posted about how willing he was to become a mommy to the little girl that he met. So as you can see, when he posted the first video that day, the results with the number of likes, it's instantaneous. It immediately skyrockets. The number of followers he was gaining, however, does not go up, which means all of these likes here that he was getting are from people who are already following him. They're not from the For You page. But, however, you can see shortly after that, or well, I shouldn't say shortly after, because this is about noon, and this is about, all times are in Central Standard Time. This is about 3 p.m. So we're not seeing an increase in followers until a couple hours later. What that shows is there is a delay with what times his followers are seeing it and what time it's finally getting to the For You page. I should probably talk about the data as a whole before I start getting into the specifics. So one thing that I have noticed is you will see every single day, obviously nighttime is when it's the lowest, and the lowest point is usually around like 5, 6 a.m. And then you see it starts to come back up, and then it peaks, and it goes back down, and it has this second peak. That is consistent across all the people I see. They have 2 peaks throughout the day. One thing that is interesting is for Ryan, the first peak is usually larger than the second. Although that could also have to do with the times in which he posts his videos, because you'll see a lot of the times he posts his videos around the time of that first peak. But there is also this second peak, and Iron Sanctuary posts his videos closer to the times in which there's this second peak. And so his second peak is actually much higher than the first peak. And for the most part, they do peak at similar times, but it does vary by like an hour or two as to when it rises and when it falls. And it is pretty interesting to see, because one thing that was also noticeable is this data from Tuesday. What I found is, for the most part, the data collected on Tuesday is heavily influenced by the videos that were posted. For the people who didn't post videos on Tuesday, they saw very little. They did not get nearly as many likes as they normally do on other days, even if they don't post videos, which I found interesting. And so what we'll see is, another thing we see is on the weekends, it drops and then it starts to come back up. On the weekdays, such as this Monday and Tuesday, it drops and then it kind of stays relatively low throughout the school day. And with Ryan's data, you will see that these spikes are a direct result of the videos he had posted. Like, there's no denying that the second he posted this video, the number of likes skyrocketed. But what's interesting about this particular video, this video right here was the video he posted about his 2 roommates, the Megans, and the different spelling of their name. What's really interesting about this one is it immediately peaks and then it starts to slow down. It gains likes at a slower rate than when it initially did, which is unlike the video he posted later this day, he re-uploaded the video in which, the Beer Bong John saga video. He posted that he re-uploaded it here, and you can see that while there is a noticeable increase in likes, there is this general trend where he is gaining more likes overall. And then you can see the video in which he posted about complimenting employees. You see almost no change whatsoever in the rate of which he was gaining likes. Another thing that's really interesting is this Megan video right here. While there is this immediate uptick in the rate at which he was getting likes, that there is no corresponding increase in followers. So basically, I don't think that video really ever made any progress on the For You page, and it only really appealed to the people who are already fans of his and already followers of his. This particular video, while you see the immediate, as soon as the video is posted, it gets this increase in likes. Overall, there really isn't that much of an increase overall. Like you can see there is some, but it's not a lot. So I'm going to throw data from YouthPastorRyan and my data onto the same graph so we can see how we compare. Yeah, I'm going to need a secondary axis. So here we go. This is similar to what I showed you before, basically the rate at which we were getting likes, except I threw a rolling average onto mine and hit the data points to make it a bit nicer because mine is kind of all over the place. Overall, my data is the most all over the place and the most sporadic because I am the smallest creator and because I receive so few likes. Like as you can see over here, even at this highest point, this is only about like 4 likes per minute. So all it takes is a couple people and this drastically changes my graph. But you can still see how they compare, and for the most part, we do see this. We do see an increase in the number of likes we're getting at similar times throughout the day. This trend is even more obvious with the larger creators. So I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. Once again, if the other 3 creators get back to me, I would be happy to analyze those. Or if you know anybody else who wants me to look at their data, I'd be happy to do that as well. Mostly because I am now addicted to this data and I want to know more. And so I kind of probably want to run my macro again. But unfortunately, I can't do it too often because I do have to leave my computer running. And I also need my computer for school sometimes. So thank you. Goodbye.